last class we talked about reproduction, all right, where we looked into the definition of reproduction, which is the biological process by which living organisms produce offspring to ensure the continuity of their species. I made mention of different types of reproduction, which are the sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. We looked into the types of asexual reproduction, which are the binary fission, budding, natural vegetation. We also have the artificial vegetation. Those are the three types we focused on. Okay, and we also looked into the sexual reproduction. I also made mention of something about the plants and animals, and I said that plants also um they have also have the sexual reproduction. They also go through the sexual reproduction. So they do not only have the asexual reproduction. So they experience both asexual and asexual and sexual reproduction depending on the type of organisms. All right. So and then from the sexual reproduction, we looked into the pollination and fertilization. And said and explained that the pollination leads us to what we call fertilization. I also made mention of something that fertilization cannot occur in the absence of pollination, which means for fertilization to occur in plants, then pollination has to have been put in place. All right, so we also looked into placentation. So those are the subtopics we looked into the last class we had. Okay, so today we are moving to cell structure and functions. You see, this particular topic is very, very important. You cannot escape this topic in UTME. All right, so for this topic, you cannot, escape um, questions relating to cell in UTME. So it is very, very important that you don't joke with this topic. All right. So because it is very wide and there are different ways questions can come under this topic. This topic also encompasses the topic living organisms because that's why I said it is very wide. All right. So and I could remember the first class we had in this UTME class is living organisms. So living organisms and cell structure and functions, they are intertwined. So they because when you talk of living organisms, you talk of cell because all living organisms are composed of cells. They are composed of cell structures. All right. So when you talk of living organisms, of course, you also talk of cell structure. So and that's why I said it is a very wide topic, and you cannot escape questions on the cell generally. All right, so we'll be looking at cell structure and functions, and we will also be treating a lot of past questions today. Okay, we'll be treating a lot of past questions today, and so to start with, I'm going to start with the definition of cell. So what's a cell? Cell is composed of various structures. Cell is composed of various structures including the cell membrane, the cytoplasm, the nucleus, and so on, different organelles. All right, so and it has different functions. They have their own specific functions. So you have different organelles when it comes to cells, and there are different scientists that you know define cell. Okay, so cells, cells comes from pre-existing cells, and all living organisms, they originate from cell. All living organisms are composed of cells. Okay, so cell is the structural and functional unit of organisms, which means that there is no organisms that survive without cell. So when you talk of organisms, you talk of cell because living organisms are composed of cells. Okay, so we have different cells, and when we talk of living organisms, of course, we generally categorize them into plants and animals. All right. So when you talk of living organisms, we are referring to plants and animal. So plants cell and animal cells, we are going to be looking at different organelles in plants and cell. This is just like a recap of the living organisms in general. So it's like a recap because I could remember touching this aspect when we were treating the topic living organisms. So it's just like a recap. And like I said earlier, we would be treating a lot of past questions today. Okay, so I want you to give me your full attention, and I want you to, you know, pay total attention. Okay, so talking about living organisms generally, they are basically categorized into plant cell and animal cell. So we have different organelles in plants and we have different organelles in animal. And then we are going to be looking into the different organelles in plant cell and animal cell. We are going to be looking into their functions. And like I said earlier, that coming to cell in general, there are a lot of ways questions can be asked, okay, because it is a wide topic. It is a very wide topic. And when we talk of cell structure and functions, we also talk of living organisms. So that's why I say it is a wide topic. Okay, so we are going to be looking into the plant cell and animal cells, and we are going to be checking the different organelles in plant cell and animal cell. So I want to show you the diagram of both plant cell and animal cell. We are going to be checking their similarities and their differences. Okay, we're going to be looking at their similarities and their differences. Okay, so as you can see here on the board, we have the plant cell and we have the animal cell, and it is well labeled. It is well, you know, the similarities, the differences, you can always deduce that from this chart. Okay, so you can deduce that from this chart. All right, so let's start from the plant cell. So talking about the plant cell, you can see the different structures. This is the structure of the plant cell, as you can see, and this is the structure of the animal cell, as you can see here on the bird. Okay, so starting with the plant cell, we have different organelles, and we are going to start with the cell wall. We are going to start with the cell wall. Here is the cell wall. Why are we starting from the cell wall? Because it is the outermost layer. So we are starting with the cell wall because it's the outermost layer, okay? So this is the cell wall. And what is the function of the cell wall? like I said earlier, you need to pay attention to the function of each of the organelle because question can come in any way. All right, and that is why I said we are going to be treating a lot of past questions because so that you can be familiar with the different ways questions can come under this topic. Okay, so looking at the cell wall, what is the function? Like I said, it is the outermost part of the cell of the plant cell, and the function of the outermost part of the cell, of course, is to provide, support and protection to the whole plant cell, to the whole cell. So as you can see, it's looking thick, right? So the cell is the outer part is looking thick, and the function is to provide support and protection. To provide support and protection. So that is the function of the cell wall. Okay, so from cell wall, we move to the cell membrane. The cell membrane is the second outer part. All right, so it is the next layer after the cell wall, and this is the cell membrane. So what is the function of the cell membrane? As you can see that the cell membrane is the next layer after the cell wall. So, and every other thing inside the plant cell is inside the cell membrane. So any movement that is going to occur in the plant cell is going to be inside the cell membrane. All right, so there is nothing that can move outside this part. So what is the function of the cell membrane? It controls the movement of substances in and out, just like I explained that there is nothing that can move, there is no organelle, there is nothing that can move inside the plant cell, or there is nothing that can move outside this structure, okay, outside this structure. So it controls the movement of whatever is moving. It controls the movement of all the substances in and out of the cell. So that is the function of the cell membrane. Okay, so from the cell membrane now we move to the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is this inside, okay, this lemon green part is termed cytoplasm. As you can see the label, so this part is termed cytoplasm. So all the parts inside is called cytoplasm. And what is the function of the cytoplasm? It controls the organelles and the site of chemical reaction. So the cytoplasm controls the sites of chemical reaction, sites of chemical reaction. Okay, so it controls the site of chemical reaction, and it also contains the organelles. Like as you can see, we have different organelles deposited inside the cytoplasm. So the function of the cytoplasm is to control the site of chemical reaction and also controls the movement of the organelles. Okay, so and the nucleus. What is the function of the nucleus? As you can see, this is the nucleus, and the function of the nucleus, it is very, very important. Nucleus is very, very important in organisms. It is very, very important in all organisms. Okay, so and why is it very much important? It's very much important because it contains or it stores the genetic material and controls the cell activities. That is nucleus. So it controls the cell activities and stores genetic material. Okay, stores genetic material. Don't forget when you talk of genetic material, when you talk about the DNA, the RNA, all these genetic materials, they are composed inside the nucleus. So nucleus is very, very, very much important in organisms because it contains the genetic material. It stores the genetic material and controls the cell activities. So it's more or less like the powerhouse. So it's controls, the cell activities. Okay. So and also inside the nucleus you have the nucleus. This here is the nucleus. So you have the nucleus, and for the nucleus, you can see it is located inside the nucleus. All right, and it produces ribosomes. So the nucleus produces ribosomes. It produces ribosomes. So what is the function of the ribosome? The function of the ribosome is that it produces proteins. So the ribosome produces protein, produces protein. That is the function of the ribosome. Okay, so it produces proteins, and we also have many other organelles. You have the mitochondrion. All right, so this is the mitochondrion. As you can see, it is red in color in this diagram. All right, I am not saying mitochondria is red in color, but I'm saying that for you to be able to recognize it in this diagram, it is this red that we labeled as mitochondrion. Okay, and the function of the mitochondrion is that it produces energy, ATP. It produces energy. It produces energy, ATP. What is the function of the ATP? Oh, sorry, what is the full meaning of ATP? ATP means what? Adenosine triphosphate. Triphosphate. So that is ATP. Okay, adenosine triphosphate. So the mitochondria contains or produces energy, which is in form of ATP. Okay, so you also have the chloroplast. You also have the chloroplast, and the function of the chloroplast, of course, it contains what we call the chlorophyll. As you can see here is the chloroplast. So it contains the chlorophyll, and of course, chlorophyll is needed for photosynthesis. So it is the chloroplast that contains the chlorophyll for photosynthesis. So it is like the site of the photosynthesis. Okay, site for photosynthesis. So it contains the chlorophyll. All right. So you also have what we call the vacuole. We also have what we call the vacuole. All right. And the function of the vacuole is to, store water and nutrient because it is very big. It is very big. So it contains, here is the vacuole, and it contains the water, the nutrient. It stores the water, as you can see, very big in nature. So in plant cell, the vacuole is very big, and it contains the water, contains the nutrients, contains the waste. That is why it's very big. It contains a lot of things. Okay, so that is the function of the vacuole in plants. As you can see, it is very large and at the center. Don't forget, it is at the center of the cell, and it is very large. Okay, so and for we also have the endoplasmic reticulum. Here is the endoplasmic reticulum, and the function of the endoplasmic reticulum, it you have different. Sorry. Okay, so you have the endoplasmic reticulum, as you can see here, around the very close to the nucleus. All right, very close to the nucleus. So the function of the endoplasmic reticulum is to, helps in protein synthesis. It helps in protein synthesis. Okay, so it helps in protein synthesis. And when we talk of the endoplasmic reticulum, you there are two different endoplasmic reticulum. You have the rough and you have the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so you can see it is close, very close to the nucleus. So don't forget and take note of the the functions. Okay, so you also have the Golgi apparatus. This is it colored in orange. All right, so that you can be able to recognize it. Okay, so this is the Golgi apparatus. And what is the function of the Golgi apparatus? It modifies and transports proteins. So I have mentioned proteins for like three different organelles now. If you are with me, for ribosome, I said it synthesizes proteins. All right. Also for the endoplasmic reticulum, I also make mention of protein. And for Golgi apparatus, I am also saying something relating to protein, that it modifies and transports protein, all right, inside or within the cell structure. Okay, so these are the organelles of the plant. These are the organelles, these are the plant cell organelles. Okay, so we also have some other things labeled on the chart, but then most times, like the graphite crystal, they are inside the vacuole, located inside the vacuole. So most times questions don't even come on these organelles. All right, so um we will be moving to the animal cell now. So for the animal cell, as you can see, you also have different organelles, and there are similarities and differences between the plant cell and the animal cell. Okay, so you would see that here also you have the cell membrane. Okay, and also the function of the cell membrane, just like I explained for the plant cell. So it regulates movement of substances. Okay, so it regulates movement of substances. The first thing you should notice is that a animal cell does not have cell wall. The animal cell does not have cell wall. So that is the first difference you should take note of. Okay, so and like I explained for the ones in plant cell, I said the cell membrane regulates movement of substances. Also, we have the cytoplasm, as you can see in the plant cell. Here is the cytoplasm, and of course, the function is also to enable chemical reaction and also supports the organelles. Okay, so it supports the organelles, contains the organelles, and it also enables chemical reaction. Okay, so also for the nucleus, as you can see, you have the nucleus, you have the nucleus. So like I said earlier, that nucleus is very important because it contains the genetic material, all right, and also controls the cell activities. That is very, very important. Please take note. So it contains the cell activities, and it also has it contains the genetic material and controls the cell activities. So inside the nucleus, you have the nucleus. And what is the function of the nucleus? Like I said, for the plant cell, I said the nucleus, it gives rise to the ribosome. So it produces the ribosomes. So as you can see, so the nucleus produces the ribosomes. And what is the function of the ribosome? Don't forget, I said the ribosome, it helps in protein synthesis. Okay, it helps in protein synthesis. That is the function of the ribosome. Okay, so also we have the endoplasmic reticulum. Here is the endoplasmic reticulum, and I said something earlier that you have two types of endoplasmic reticulum. You have the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and you have the rough endoplasmic reticulum. So as you can see here, you have the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and what is the function? I joined the endoplasmic reticulum, the ribosome, and also the Golgi apparatus, I made mention of something about the three organelles that they are responsible for anything protein, just that the Golgi apparatus is one that will carry the protein around the cell. Okay, so it transports the protein around the cell. That is for the Golgi apparatus. And for the endoplasmic reticulum, it also helps in protein production. So which means that the endoplasmic reticulum works hand in hand with the ribosome, because ribosome is also responsible for protein synthesis. All right, so that is how to, when you are studying, you try to deduce the differences, you deduce the similarities. That is how to assimilate. Okay, so all of these things, it's very simple. You just need to put your mind, try to deduce the differences, try to deduce the similarities, and understand the function of the organelles. So it is not difficult. Just ensure you put your mind. All right. So you also have the Golgi apparatus, and like I said earlier, I made mention of Golgi apparatus, the endoplasmic reticulum, and the ribosome and the ribosomes. Okay, so for this theory, I said they work with protein. Like for the Golgi apparatus, it transports the protein. Okay, so it transports and modifies proteins, packages proteins, and transports it inside the cell. All right, so you also have another organelle called the lysosome, which is this. As you can see, the lysosome is not present in plant cell. You can only see that in animal cell. So if you take note, you see that there is something circled in red. You have two structures circled in red, also two structures circled in red here, which means that this cell wall is not present in animal cell. And for the central vacuole, it is larger in plant cell, while for the animal cell it is smaller. All right, and here on the animal cell you have the centrosome, but the centrosome is not present in plant cell. Also, the lysosome is not present in plant cell, and that is why we circled it. Okay, so which means every other organelles that you can see that is not circled is present, is like similarities between the plant cell and the animal cell. All right. Also, the chloroplast is not present in animal cell. Don't forget, the chloroplast is also not present in animal cell. Okay, so it's also not present in animal cell. So you have the small vacuole in plants in animal cell. All right, and it's also functioning in the same way that of plant cell functions. So it stores waste, stores transport materials, it stores water, nutrients. All right. So that is the function of the small vacuole in animal cell. And also you have the centrioles. All right. So those are the organelles in plant cell and animal cell. So as you can see here, for the plant cell, you have the cell wall, you have the large central vacuole, you have the chloroplast, you have its lack centrosomes, just like I said earlier. It also lack lysosomes. All right. And here for the plant cell, there is no cell wall, numerous small vacuole, numerous small vacuole. Like I said, that the vacuole here is not large as that of plant cell. All right, and also there is no chloroplast, because chloroplast is responsible for photosynthesis, and of course photosynthesis does not occur in animal rather. So it does not occur in animal, and that is why it lacks chloroplast. Okay, so there is centrioles present, which is also known as the centrosome. Okay, so also the lysosome is present. All right, so I believe you can deduce the differences between the plant cell and the animal cells now. So the question can just come, you can just list, okay, one of those following is not one of the organelles in plants. So like I said earlier, that the question can come in any way. The question can come in any way. So you just have to understand and understand, be patient, be calm before you pick your answers. Okay. So you already know the organelles that are present in plant cell but are not present in animal cell, and those ones that are present in animal cell but are not present in plant cell. All right. So we have um the different questions under this topic. Like I said earlier, that we are going to be treating a lot of past questions today. We are going to treat a lot of past questions today. All right. And before we move to our past questions, I would also like to touch the evolution among the organisms. Like I said earlier, that there is no organism that survive, or there is no organisms without cell. So cell structure is very, very important in living organisms. All right. So we have different classification of living organisms. This is also like a recap because we have done this in this class. I just want to do a recap before we move to the questions that I want us to treat. Okay, so for the you have different classification of organisms, different kingdom classification. And number one is the kingdom Monera. Number two is the Protista, which are the eukaryotes. You have the fungi, kingdom fungi. You have the kingdom Plantae, and you have the kingdom Animalia. All right, you have the kingdom Animalia, and under kingdom Animalia, that is where you have the invertebrates and you have the vertebrates. Please take note of that. And for the invertebrates, you have the colentrates, you have the platyhelminthes, all right. You have the colentrates, you have the platyhelminthes, you have the annelida, you have the arthropod, you have the mollusca. Okay, and for the vertebrate, that is where you have the five major classes of organisms, which are the mammalia, the apes, the reptilia, the amphibia, and the pisces. Okay, so all of these, they are under the kingdom Animalia. They are under the kingdom Animalia. All right. So also you have the kingdom, under the kingdom Mulera, you have the prokaryotes. Like I said earlier, most of the unicellular organisms, they belong to this category. They belong to this category. And for Protista, you have the eukaryotes. All right. Also, you have some unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms under this category. Okay, so I am going to be giving us past questions because I want us to attempt it together. Okay, so just like I said earlier, that we would be treating more of past questions today. Okay, so I'm going to be giving us different questions, and as I will be sending the questions, I want you to attempt it. I want us to solve it together. All right. So please pay attention. pay attention to the questions and try to participate. Okay. So if you are with me, please thumbs up. If you can hear me and you are with me, please thumbs up so I can be sure that you are with me. All right. So, all right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we have I'm going to paste the question now, and we'll be starting with 2024. 2024. Okay. So the why we give you past questions here is not for you to cram the questions. It's not for you to think that the questions will come out. No. Why we give you past questions to solve is for you to be familiar with how tricky they can be with their questions, and also for you to be familiar with the way they set their questions. So it is not for you to cram it thinking the questions will come that way. Well, it could come out that way. You may be lucky, but we are not saying that it's going to come out that way. Okay, so just familiarize yourself with how they set their questions. Okay, so this is 2024, and the question is under cell. So it says in plant cells, the chloroplasts are located inside dash. The chloroplasts are located dash. A, inside the cell wall. B, outside the protoplasm. C, within the vacuole. And D, within the cytoplasm. So I believe you can still remember the diagram that I just removed from the board, your plant cell. Okay, the plant cell should come to your mind because they are talking about the chloroplast, and animal cell does not have chloroplast. So I just want you to, know how to tackle their questions. So there are ways to, tackle UTME questions. So you don't just pick your answer. You need to be calm. You need to check the questions very well. So now in plant cells, the chloroplasts are located dash. So looking at the structure of the plant cell, you have the cell wall followed by the cell membrane. So the chloroplast, can it be located inside the cell wall? Of course not. Outside the protoplasm? Of course not. We did not even label protoplasm, okay? So within the vacuole, of course not, because the vacuole stores water, waste, nutrients. So how can you now find the chloroplast inside the vacuole? It's not possible. So what is your answer? What is the answer left? What is the answer left? Of course, your answer is that it is inside the cytoplasm. Don't forget that I gave you the structure of the plant cell. I gave you the structure of the plant cell, and you know, I gave you the structure of the plant cell, and inside, after the cell wall, we have what we call the chloroplast inside the cytoplasm. So your answer here is what? Is D, inside, within the cytoplasm. Okay, so I believe you grasped that. All right. So we are moving to the second question. We'll move to the second question. It's also 2024 question. Also 2024 question. And still on that cell. Okay. Still on that cell. So this is for you to have the idea of how their questions come. Okay, so and if you look at it very well, the questions are simple. All right, so this is also 2024 question, also 2024 question, and here we go. Still under cell. Okay, still under cell, and you have this. So the structure that is mostly commonly identified in all living cells under the light microscope is the dash. Don't forget when I was explaining the organelles, I said something about a particular organelle that is very, very important. I said something about a particular organelle that is very, very important in cell structure. Okay, so looking at this question very well, the structure that is mostly commonly identified in all living cells under the light microscope. This is to tell you why should you even use light microscope in the first place. This means that the organism is very, very small, very, very minute, and no matter how small an organism is, like I said earlier, it has nucleus. So this is to tell you that they are trying to ask you about an organelle that is very, very important in all organisms. Okay, because for you to make use of a light microscope for an organism, it means the organism is very, very minute, it's very, very small. Okay, so looking at this question now, you see that your options: A, you have mitochondrion; B, you have chloroplast; C, you have nucleus; and D, you have ribosome. And what is that organelle that I said is very, very, very important? Of course, it is the nucleus. Okay, so it's very, very important. It controls the cell activities and it contains the genetic material. So nucleus is very, very important in cells. Okay, so the answer is nucleus. All right, so we move to another question. We move to another question, which is 2023. 2023. That is where the question is coming from. 2023. Okay, so for 2023, the question says the nucleus is considered the central organelle. The nucleus is considered the central organelle of a cell because it's dash. Nucleus is considered the central organelle of a cell because it's dash. It's asked to give me the answer. A, contains the genetic material. A, contains the genetic material. B, contains the nuclear sap. C, is bounded by the nuclear sap. And D, is located at the central of the cell. Blessing, why are you so late? All right, so we had a recap of everything we have been, doing, especially talking about the cell structures and the functions, and we are trying to look at different questions under the topic. All right, under the topic cell structure and also living organism. Oh, so sorry about that. All right, so the question 2023 says the nucleus is considered the central organelle of a cell because it's dash A contains the genetic material, B contains the nuclear sap, C is bounded by the nuclear sap, and D is located at the center of the cell. So like I explained earlier about nucleus, that nucleus is very, very important in cells because it contains genetic material and it controls the cell activities. So you may even, you may be given a question that does not even have contains the genetic material. So the major function of the nucleus is that it contains the genetic material and it controls the cell activities. It controls the cell activities. All right, it controls the cell activities. So, what is the answer in these options? A contains the genetic material, B contains the nuclear sap, C is bounded by the nuclear sap, and D is located at the center of the cell. What is your answer? Of course, the answer is A, according to the explanations that we had today. The nucleus contains the genetic material. So the answer is A. All right. So I want to wipe off the board so we can have space to, put the remaining questions. All right. And like I said earlier, is for you to just have the idea. And that is why we give you past questions after we might have treated the topic, after you might have understood a particular topic. That is when we treat past questions. So the past questions are not for you to cram or anything. No, it is just for you to have the idea of how the questions come. Okay, so it is just for you to have the idea of how they set their questions, of how they set their questions. All right. So, I'm going to paste another question now, and I would like you to also attempt it. Okay, so this question is from 2019, but it's still under cell structure and functions. Okay, don't forget when we started this class, I said the questions can come in different ways because the topic is wide. It also encompasses the topic living organisms. So, talking about the cell structure, you are also talking about organisms. So it's a wide topic. All right. So this is 2019, and it says which of the following structures controls the activities of the living cells? I want you to pick your answer according to the explanations we have heard today. Which of the following structures controls the activities of the living cells? A. Nucleus. B. Centrosome. C. Mitochondria. And D. Golgi body. So, which of the following structures control the activities of the living cells? I am waiting for your responses. And if you're watching us from YouTube, please like, comment, and share. Let your friends also benefit from this channel, and don't forget to click on the subscription button, subscribe so that you can always be notified when there is an educative videos like this. All right, when there are educative videos like this for you to prepare for exam, or you have any topic that is bothering you, you can always come on A1 tutorial channel to should be blessed. Okay, so for you to understand better whatever is bothering you, whatever topic is giving you tough time. All right, so like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. All right, so coming back to this question, what is the answer? Of course, your answer is nucleus, because like I explained earlier that it contains the genetic material and it controls the activities of the cell. So the answer is nucleus. All right. So we are looking into another question. I already said today that we'll be treating more of fast questions, more of fast questions. Okay. So we also have another question, and this is under organism. This is under organisms, and I'm going to paste it as well. 2022. Question is from 2022, and not under cell this time around, but like I said, it is still under living organisms. So it's also very important. Okay. So the sum total of all observable features of an organism. This particular question was treated, I think, some weeks ago. Yes, I could remember when we were treating the topic living organisms. I made mention of this, and the sum total of all observable features of an organism is called dash. A. Phenotype. B. Heterozygous. C. Genotype. And D. Homozygous. The sum total of all observable features of an organism is called dash. A. Phenotype. B. Heterozygous. C. Genotype. And D. Homozygous. What is your answer? The total, the sum total of all observable features, that is everything you can see in an organisms, everything you can observe in an organisms, things you can observe in an organisms, they are called what? What is it called? So of course, your answer is phenotype. So your answer is phenotype. So phenotype is the sum total of all observable features of all organisms. All right, of all organisms. The features you can observe in organisms, they are called phenotype. That is the term. Okay, so they are called phenotype. And another question, another question is 2019, 2019. All right, 2019. This question is also very simple and important. Okay, so it is under, also under plants, also on the plants, and it's also very simple because we have treated the topic. We have treated the topic. So the question says, in plants, respiration occurs in dash. In plants, respiration occurs in dash. A. The stomata and lenticel only. B. Mesophyll. C. All living cells. And D. The roots only. I could remember explaining this in when we were treating the different characteristics of plants, of living organisms rather. Yes, I could remember I mentioned this. And also when we treated photosynthesis, I made mention of this. Yes, when we were also treating the internal structure of a flowering plant, I made mention of this. So, what is the respiratory site of a plant? Like for human being, of course, you have the lungs, or let me say for mammals, you have the lungs and the, you know, you have the nostrils for your for breathing in, breathing out, you have your lungs. All right. So for plants, what is the site of respiration? Where does respiration occur? Where does respiration occurs? A, the stomata and lenticel only. B, mesophyll. C, all living cells. And D, the roots only. A, the stomata and lenticel only. B, mesophyll. C, all living cells. And D, the roots only. What is your answer? What is your answer? Of course, the stomata and lenticel is responsible for, you know, is the respiratory site for plants, all right? And for, okay, so for the plants, all right, so you have the stomata and the lenticel. The lenticel, don't forget that it is very, very um essential in woody plants. That is where you have the lenticel as the site of respiration, woody plants. Okay, that is where you have the lenticel as your as site of respiration. But for your normal other plants, the stomata is the site of respiration. And that is why we have both the stomata and the lenticel as the site of respiration, as the site of respiration. Okay, so one last question before we call it a day. One last question before we call it a day. One last question before we call it a day. Is from 2019. 2019. That is where the question is from. Okay. So this is the last what was the last question we are treating for today, and we call it a day. All right. So the question says, sorry, think I need to wipe off the bird. Okay, can see it's showing. All right, so the study of an organism, of an individual organism, or a single species of an organism and its environment is dash. A, horticology. B, ecological concept. C, synecology. And D, biotic composers. I go again. The study of an individual organism or a single species of an organism and its environment is dash. A, horticology. B, ecological concepts. C, synecology. And D, biotic composers. What is your answer? Of course, the answer is horticology. Horticology is the study of an individual organism or a single species of an organism and its environment. So your answer is horticology. All right. So thank you for joining today's class. And there's something I would like to thank you, Blessing. So there's something I would like you to take note when it comes to UTME questions. And when you see UTME questions, try to be calm, try and understand the question, interpret the questions very well before you pick your answer. So you have to know what you know before you can pick the right answers. Okay, so try to study hard, try to treat the topics one after the other, take note of anything you can take note of, and also make use of the app. Go and set past questions. We have past questions on our app, numerous past questions that you can benefit from. So, and that is after you might have studied hard, after you might have gone through everything we have been teaching you here, even on your own. Try to check the UTME syllabus, probably the ones we have not been able to cover due to time. You know, read on your own, take note of the things you should take note of, read line by line. Don't use past questions to prepare. Past questions is just an additional source for you to prepare for your exam. All right, so it's just for you to have the idea of how they set their questions. It's not for you to cram thinking it's coming out this way. It may not be. Okay, so thank you for your time. And like I said earlier, after you might have studied, you can always visit A1 Tutor app. You can also invite your friends, introduce them to A1 Tutor app. Don't be too selfish. Introduce A1 Tutor app to your friends. Let them also benefit from it. And the sweet part of it is that all the questions on A1 Tutor app, they have been solved. All right, you have answers to those questions. So if you are correct or not, you can always know on the app because answers have been provided to the questions. So this is for you to just make efficient use of the app. All right, so thank you for joining today's class, and I wish you success in your exam. Have a wonderful night's rest. Thank you, blessing. All right. Bye.